My name is Gavin Evans, and this time on Gavin Recommends Frankenhooker. Now, if you hear that title, Frankenhooker, and are expecting a masterpiece on the same level of The Godfather, well then you're absolutely right. No, just kidding. Frankenhooker is exactly what it sounds like based on the title. It's about a man who loses his fiancée and attempts to bring her back to life, but in the process, he has to kill a bunch of hookers. So this movie is one of those movies where it's really crazy and over the top, and you have to be on the movie's wavelengths. And if you get on the movie's wavelengths, you can enjoy it and have a good time with it. I do think this movie has some really good elements to it. I just love how crazy and over the top of a plot it is. It's just something absolutely insane that we don't get much of these days. And I think this movie also has some really good practical effects, especially in the last 5 minutes. And I do think this movie also has some good humor. Pretty much, he brings her to life, and just the way that she operates after that, her mannerisms, the way she talks, the way that she brings up past conversations that we've already heard in the movie, I just found that added a really humorous angle to it. That all said, I also think the main character, James Lorenz, I think he's lacking a certain energy needed for this movie. Like, if you watch a movie like Reanimator, that's a great movie, really well directed by Stuart Gordon with amazing practical effects, but without Jeffrey Combs' crazy over-the-top performance, it doesn't work as well as it could have. I think if you replace him with anyone else, Reanimator wouldn't be a classic. And the main lead here, he's playing it in a very dry, very straight way, and I just don't think it works. I think we needed someone to bring a bit more energy into this movie. You know, just that crazy, over-the-top, mad scientist, like Christopher Lloyd in Back to the Future. Of course, that wouldn't work because this guy's like in his mid to low 20s. But still, someone who has a bit more of a personality, because I just didn't really like the main lead in this movie. But I actually think my biggest problem with this movie is that even though it gets really weird and gross in the last 5 minutes, this movie is for some weird reason very reluctant to have any bit of blood in it, and it just takes away a lot from this movie. Because I'm going to watch this movie for its craziness. The plot is crazy, just what happens in this movie is crazy. Just everything that I love about this movie is the craziness of it. But this movie also won't show a drop of blood. I don't think there's a single bit of blood in this movie past the opening, which I just found to be a really strange decision. Like, there are moments in this movie that should have been over the top and really bloody, but they just don't go there. In fact, whenever a human blows up in this movie, it kind of looks like a robot blew up. It doesn't look like a human just blew up. It looks like everybody on this planet is a robot. And it just kind of takes you out of it. Like, it's willing to be gross in the end, but up until that point, it avoids blood in every single possible way. So I think that's the main thing that's keeping this movie from being a complete cult classic in my mind, because I do get enjoyment from this movie. I love wacky, weird movies like this. Like, we definitely don't get movies with a plot like this anymore. But it just refuses to show any bit of blood. It's just a very odd choice that I don't understand whatsoever. Like, I love Brain Dead. I think that's one of the greatest movies ever made. Yes, I said it. I think that is crazy, over the top, in the best kind of way. And it's also like the second bloodiest movie ever, and it's just, when you watch that movie, it is insane. And I wish we got lots of what that made that movie great in this movie, but we just don't. That's not to say you can't have a good time with it, you definitely can, but I think those things keep it from this movie being great. Also, there's elements of the ending that don't quite work for me. I'm going to be talking about it after I give my rating of this movie. I like the idea of the ending, I think it's effective in that, but I think it could have been a better ending, just straight up. So anyways, Frankenhooker, I do recommend. If you like the crazy, weird horror movies from the 90s and the 80s, that just are very off-putting, they're very offbeat, and they're not for everyone, then I'd say check this movie out. I saw the director's other movie, Basket Case, and I'm not the biggest fan of that movie, but I think this is a step up from that. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and give Frankenhooker a 7 out of 10. Okay, I'm just going to quickly talk about the ending of this movie because it doesn't work for me, and here's why. Basically, he brings her back to his garage and he fixes her up, and then that's when we get his girlfriend actually back in this mind, where she starts talking to him like she's his girlfriend. And then he tells her all this stuff, and then he gets killed, and then this craziness happens for 2 minutes, and then he's put back together in a really horrific way, and she repeats everything that he said to her, but she says it to him in this case. See, it doesn't work for me because it was just so rushed. I feel like when he brought her to life in the first place, if he said that stuff, and then she started malfunctioning and she went on her robot craziness, and then he brought her back, fixed her up, and then that stuff all happened, and then we got the ending that called it back to that previous discussion that happened a half hour ago. I think that would have been a much better effective ending, because I like the ending of this movie. Like, it's just weird. It's one of those movies that just stays with you. It's disturbing, but I feel like it could have had more of an impact if they did it like that. And like I said, I just find it weird that we get this weird blob of all these different human parts at the end. Still no real blood, but this movie just allows all these people to blow up without an ounce of blood. I don't get it. But anyways, have you seen Frankenhooker? What did you think about it? Let me know in the credits. Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.